convention that we felt like was truly built from the ground up to be very inclusive of everyone, like make everyone feel like they really belong in the world of fandom, because they do. Everybody deserves a seat at the table and deserves to feel comfortable and safe attending events, and not to be shut out of like networking opportunities and fun stuff to do. So that was the original impetus, and it's been so much fun that we keep doing it, just because it's the number of awesome people that we've met along the way, and just how much everyone, including us, looks forward to that weekend in October every year. It's not that big a stretch to say that sometimes people do go and then come out a little bit changed on the other side of it, at least in terms of their new friends and their new thoughts on things, and like rejuvenated inspiration.
I think the conversations is what Jesse means. When you come out of it and you've had all of these amazing conversations that you don't necessarily get to have in everyday life, people who are smart and funny and usually quite goofy, and it's becoming a family.
As we wait to converge on the new site in October, we welcome in author, gamer, editor Misty Massey, author and filmmaker Marc Abbott, to talk about their experiences at Multiverse. Then we have some opportunities to not only sell at Multiverse, but sell before Multiverse, as we turn the spotlight on the wonderful Multiverse Convention with your host, Joe Compton. Yes, hello everybody. We're live again with another spotlight on the Multiverse, and I have the wonderful Misty Massey with me. I'm super excited to talk to her about everything going on and Multiverse in general. Misty, why don't we start by having you introduce yourself for us?
Okay. I'm Misty Massey. I'm the author of the Mad Kestrel series of pirate fantasy adventures. I am also the author of the upcoming Dead Man series coming from Falstaff, hopefully later this year. I don't have a date yet, but it'd be amazing if it was out for Multiverse. Cross my fingers. I am an editor for Falstaff Books and for Mocha Memoirs Press. And when I'm not doing writery, editory stuff, I am a cast member on the Authors and Dragons podcast. I've been in several of the campaigns. I'm taking a break right now, but you can still hear me in past recordings. So we play D&D to its absolute most ridiculous level. So come on, give us a listen.
What are you guys playing right now? What version are you playing right now?
They are playing the 5th edition, and I'm taking a break right now, so it's Drew Hayes and Rick Waltieri and Emily Kaplan and Steve Wetherill and Michael Gibson is DMing the thing. So, and Robert Bevan is part of the cast too. So.
Yeah, one of the cool things about being able to do what I do is now we've branched out to indie gaming. I'm learning so much about like role-playing games and tabletop games that I didn't know about. I was not one of those people that played them growing up. And so it's really cool to learn all about the different iterations of the D&D and meeting the people who were involved in that and who are still involved in that, and having conversations is kind of interesting. But yeah, it's just... yeah, it's amazing. I mean, obviously, with all the things going on with D&D and Hasbro, it's kind of like one of those, but
it's really funny because I'm a gamer girl from way back. I'm had the player's handbook with the idol and the jewel and the people stealing. That was my player's handbook. So that tells you how long ago it was. And I remember back in the day when TSR lost control of the company.
Yeah.
And just everybody was up in arms, and it was going to be the end of gaming, and whoa, because it was going to be ruined. And so we've gone through so many since then. It's really kind of funny.
Yeah.
But
Hasbro's a pretty big loss. I mean, obviously they're in a spot where they can sustain themselves now, so it doesn't really matter. But that's a pretty big loss still. I think having a machine and an engine like that behind you was something that really helped them propel into the mainstream, I think, a little bit more. But
yeah,
it is what it is. But Anita's here, and she says, "I just read one of Mocha Memoirs books. Which one did you read, Anita? I'm curious. I've read quite a few of them, so I'm interested."
Yeah, I'm curious too. I wonder if I edited it.
Did you do Ray's book, Ray Nichols, Until Death?
I did not. I did
Okay.
the most recent release. Oh gosh, what's it called? About Mama Lucy and
Oh, okay. Yeah.
is it not not a witch? Ain't a
Yeah.
witch.
Yeah. Ain't a Witch, I think is
Ain't a
what it,
witch. Okay,
yeah.
yeah. I did that one. That was such a great book. And I
Um,
did Sisters of the Wild Sage.
uh,
Ain't no witch. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
I did that one. I did that one.
You got 5 stars, so there you
Yay.
go. Yeah, to talk about what we're here to talk about a little bit. I am curious, what you think about was were you excited to hear about the change that's happening this year with the new hotel? Because I think you've been to all of them, have you not? To every single multiverse?
I missed one.
Miss one?
Yeah, I missed one somewhere along the way, but
Mm,
I've been to most of them. So, and I just love it. So,
yeah.
I'm excited about the new hotel. I haven't seen the inside yet. I probably should go to the hotel website and look at the rooms and see what it looks like on the inside at least a little bit. But I'm excited because everybody that's involved says that it's going to be better, more conducive space, and that all the amenities are better, and that it just looks like a really super hotel to be in. So, and I'm thrilled to death that the con needed to make a change, because that means that it's growing and getting bigger and better and succeeding, and those are all words I like.
I mean, you're a regular con goer all around. What is it about Multiverse that's different for you?
Multiverse has so for years we in the con world have talked about reaching out to and being attractive to people who are not straight white ordinary, not ordinary, but straight white fans.
Mhm,
We've talked about we need to reach out to black fans, and we need to reach out to LGBTQ fans, and we need to reach out to Hispanic and Mexican and Asian, and fans
mhm.
that are not just in that straight white mold. And it seems so hard, but Multiverse just stepped right up and is doing it. And it just seemed, I know it's not effortless, but Multiverse makes it feel effortless. And
Mhm.
so that's nice. It's just like, hey, we want you. And so people feel welcome to come because Multiverse makes it feel effortless on their part. They're saying, we have no problem with everybody coming into the party. And so that's what makes it a little different, I think, is that they hit the ground running with that attitude that everybody is welcome. And so that has reflected in the people that want to come and be there and enjoy the fun together.
I also think it's reflected to cons that we all frequent, that all of us, the core of us are always at, that we see each other at quite a bit. I think that there's been some trickle down effect in regards to, attending Con Carolinas last year, and then I attended Jordan Con this year, and I felt like there was a tinge of Multiverse's influence in all of that.
I
Do you
think
find
you're
that?
right. Yes, I
Yeah.
do. I think you're right. So I'm going to be running the programming for a writing conference that's attached to Congregate, which is in Winston-Salem in July.
Hmm.
The writing conference is called Saga, and we're really excited because we've got a pretty diverse cast too. We've got Nicole Givens-Kurtz, who has been a member of the con committee for Multiverse and has been an author guest at Multiverse. She's
Hmm.
going to be one of our faculty, and our guest of honor is Maurice Broadus.
Ah,
So
yeah,
we're
nice.
really excited to have him. So and because of that, um, it's helping Congregate actually bring in more diverse guests too. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I think once somebody does it, it starts seeping out into everybody else's events, and that's what we needed to be doing all along.
You've been a mainstay at Multiverse for the writers workshops and the things of that nature. Do you enjoy that aspect, the teaching aspect of things?
Oh, sure,
Yeah.
sure. I My parents were both educators, and so it kind of comes naturally to me. It's, I guess it's genetic. I don't know, but so I like teaching people things. I like sharing what I know with other people, and so and I like seeing new writers succeed.
Yeah.
Because it's, as many people have said, it is not a closed, it's not a country club. The writing world is more of a sandbox, and the more people that come in, we just add sand and spread it out a little more, and everybody can come in the sandbox. And so when I see other people succeed, like, I was just excited that AF gave Ain't No Witch 5 stars, and I edited it, because that means that I helped that author find his best expression, and so that tickles
Sure.
me to death. So I like that. I like when everybody around me is doing well.
I
So
think you have a unique perspective too, because you've been editing, freelance editing, and been hired by a bunch of really renowned indie publishers out there. So you have a good sense of how indie's been going, and how small presses have been doing business. And do you feel like there is a surge happening right now that is kind of on the verge of breaking out into bigger, better things?
I do. Once upon a time, long, long, long ago, small presses were the thing. That was how
Mhm.
everybody was being published, was through this small press or that small press.
Right.
And then certain presses got bigger and bigger and bigger, and so you ended up with the big ones in New York,
Mm.
Macmillan and Harper and Daw and all these,
Mhm.
these big houses. Well, then the houses started kind of swallowing each other, and so they got bigger, but there were fewer opportunities. And so it was hard for writers to find a spot in with those houses, and so they turned to small press. And I think now we're seeing that small presses can do an equally excellent job of editing people's books, producing people's books, and then promoting people's books. And so, um, you're not seeing $1 million advances from small presses, of course, but that's okay, because they end up bu- being authors who can sell over the long term, because there was small presses that actually care about what they're doing. And so I think the new emergence of small press as something of a powerhouse is going to be good for all of us.
Yeah, and I think it helps build a back catalog for you, and teaches you valuable skills that you probably will take on to whatever you do if you go on your own or you move forward. I mean, I think it's an important element to the creative process in a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
ways. You know.
Well, once upon a time, a the bigger publishers, if you got, say your book came out in February, you had basically a 6 or so week window to get noticed in bookstores.
Mm.
And if at the end of that 6 weeks you were not super selling, just flying off the shelves, they'd pull your book,
Yeah.
and you were done. And you would have to write something else and hope that the publisher picked that up. That's not how it works now. There's that shelf life has gone away, because of online book sales, for one
Yeah.
thing, but also because small presses don't hold to that intense publication schedule, so they can leave things available for years and years. And I think that's really good too.
Something about multiverse that we haven't talked about before on the show or around is that I do tend to see a lot of young new writers come to the writing track, especially, and really absorb a lot of stuff. There's a lot of people looking for knowledge there. It's very fascinating to me, because I don't think, I mean, you find that at other cons too, but I just feel like there's a different it seems like there's a safer space. I don't know, maybe because it's smaller. I don't know why it feels like there's just a more congruent learning, you know, atmosphere with that. But and it probably is because it's smaller. But it's just interesting to me that I see that a lot at Multiverse.
Sure. I'm pleased that people are coming to cons with this in mind to learn from writers who have been through it, and it really pleases me when you I share things that I've gone through and somebody listens,
Mm,
because there are writers out there, and you will hear horror stories. Any writer that you meet can tell you horror stories about writers who throw hissy fits and will not change even a comma in their
mm,
manuscript because you just don't understand my vision,
yeah,
and and that kind of thing, and treat editors as the enemy. And I find that the writers who come to these events and with the object of learning tend to not be those problem people.
yeah,
They figure out right away that we are all in this together, and that the editor is there to help and not hinder. And so they need to listen. And I think that that coming to Multiverse and doing the writing track at Multiverse is a really valuable learning opportunity for these young writers, because writing is an extremely solitary experience. I
yeah.
don't go walking down the street writing and talking to my neighbors. Hi, I'm writing while I walk. I mean, I'm in the house all day. So
Mm,
and most writers are like that. A few will go out to coffee shops and stuff and write, but even then, it's you and the laptop. It's not you talking to other people most of the time. So the only chance that writers have to talk to each other is either online or at cons like this.
yeah.
And so I'm really admire when they come out and make the effort to do that.
Do you have a favorite panel you like to do on at Multiverse?
Um, the one that I've done this one twice now, and I hope I get to do it again, assuming it gets scheduled this year. But it's not a writing panel, but it's the alien autopsy.
Uh,
It's really fun. I get to pretend to be chancellor of a fake university, and I've got these professors of various kinds of paranormal studies who have come in, and they're all vying for a position in my fake university, and they have to identify weird objects that I hand them. And it sometimes it is so hilarious. I mean, people will be rolling on the floor. It's so funny. So we have an absolute ball with that, and it's a lot of fun because then you get to really flex that creative muscle. My author professors do. They because I'll hand them something and they won't know what it is, so they have to come up on the spur of the moment with what it is and what it does, and where it comes from and all that kind of thing. So it's a lot of fun. It's not a writing panel per se, but it is a creativity panel very much. And I've done it twice and had a really good time. So if it ends up on the schedule again, I hope I can run that again.
nice. Tell me about the new series. Can you talk a little bit about this new series that you have for Fall Staff a little bit, and tell us a little bit about it?
Oh, sure. Um, the Dead Man series. The idea is that 4 years after he died, Doc Holliday is brought back to
Oh,
life.
you talked about
And
this, yeah.
did I
I
tell you
remember.
about this
Yeah,
before?
yeah, yeah. We talked about this last year, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear that this is coming out. So it continue.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that's okay. That's okay. It's exactly what it is. He's it takes place in the world of the John Hartness's Quincy Harker
Mhm.
Demon Hunter world, and so Doc is brought back by representatives of the Shadow Council, and he's brought back because his death was not actually supposed to be his death. He was
Mm.
cursed by a demon, and that's why he died. And so, because he wasn't really supposed to die, they were able to bring him back, and now he gets to help them defeat these demons that are trying to take over the West, and he can only be killed by his true death. although the person who knows what that is refuses to tell him what his true death is. Or maybe she doesn't really know and she's just dragging him along. Who knows? But right now it's a 3-novella series, and I'm finishing up the edits on the third book, the revision, I should say, because it's already been edited, and I'm finishing up the revision on the third book, and I'll be turning it in before too much longer.
Nice.
So, yeah. But it's a weird Western, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been very different from writing the pirates, of course, because I'm out in the desert. So,
are you are we going to see some more Mad Cutthroat books, or do you have any plans for that, or are you pretty much done with that series?
I have a plan for a third book, and I have started working on it. I'm only about 3 chapters in, but I do have a plan for at least one more book. She's going to have learned her magic, learned how to control her magic, and learned the basis of it, and that's really good because there's going to be a final confrontation with the big bads from the first 2 books, and so it'll probably be third and final. But we'll see. You never know. Sometimes I find a way to put in other storylines that I can carry through to another book after this one. But right now, I'm just promising myself one more.
Did you pitch to John, or did John ask you what you had going on and he wanted to just be a part of it?
John lives near me, and so we meet up from time to time, and of course we work on Saga together and stuff. So he happened to be in town. He was moving through. He lives in Charlotte, and his family lives on the other side of where I live, and so he was coming through. So he said, "Let's do lunch." And so we were sitting at lunch, and he said, "I want you to write a weird Western series of novellas in the Shadow Council." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "And I want it to be Doc Holliday. Can it be Doc Holliday?" And I said, "Okay." So yeah, he sort of pitched me. But yeah, that was what happened. He took me to lunch and talked me into writing it. But the more we talked about it, the more fun I was having with the idea. And so started working on it. So
yeah, last year you were talking about the research of it and how much you were learning about Doc Holliday and how interesting he turned out to be.
He's very interesting. He was really neat, and I've had a chance to add some of the bits of his history that people don't know about. Like in one of the novellas, he remembers his brother because his father brought home an orphan child and basically made him his son. You know, adopted him and made him his son, and so he was Doc's older brother. For a few years of Doc's life before he died of tuberculosis. And so so that was really neat because I'd never heard that Doc Holliday had siblings. But not only did he have siblings, he had a sibling with an interesting backstory. And you know, I've also been able to use the fact that he was a dentist. You know, they call him Doc, but he's a dentist, and so I've been able to use that in one of the stories as well. So it's been fun.
I asked you that question about John because once he gets to know you, he kind of puts you in a corner and says, "Can you write this for me?" kind of thing. I've noticed that with a lot of people. He's done that too.
How do you know? Yeah, he does that, and it's just kind of hard to say no to him.
Yeah. It's virtually impossible. Yeah, I mean, even if you do the first time, he'll just make you try to think about it, right? And
He will. He will until you just give in.
So you've been editing a long time. What do you love about editing that's different from writing for you?
Editing it exercises a different part of my brain than writing because, you know, writing is just it's pure, it's whole cloth, and where editing, it's already there, and I can go through and pick and be very specific on what I think needs to change. I find it fun. not only to help other people with their writing and help them be the best they can be, but it also teaches me, okay, I'm moving this paragraph around that my writer has done because these sentences are going to work better in this position. And so then I remember that when I'm writing, and I automatically will set paragraphs into a better rhythm, into a better flow, because I remembered, oh, you know what, that didn't work for this person, I'm going to fix mine too. So it helps me with my writing in that respect, but it also it, like I said, it flexes a different muscle in my brain that and gives my writing brain side maybe a little rest.
What would you say is the most common thing you first look for when you start editing something?
um I am usually, well, it depends. If I'm copy editing, I'm looking for mechanical stuff, misplaced commas, misplaced apostrophes, misspelled words, that kind of
Mhm.
thing. So I'm being very straight through, just watching for all those
Sure.
mistakes and stuff. When I'm developmentally editing, I'm trying to get into the head of the main character right away, so that I can then say, I'm not sure this quite works here. Are you sure she would react this way? Maybe he would say this instead of that.
Mhm.
And when I do a developmental edit, there are a lot of comments that I put to the side, and I always say, maybe this. What about this?
Mm.
Have you thought about this? Because in the end, yes, I am an editor, but I am not the dictator of your work. If I make a whole bunch of suggestions and you don't like any of them, you can toss them out, because it is your manuscript and not mine. So my suggestions are only that. They're suggestions, and the writer can take them or not take them. And I try to also be open to questions if they don't understand a comment I've made.
Mhm.
I try to make sure my writers understand that they can bounce me a message and go, "What on earth did you mean? I have no idea what you're trying to say here," so that I can explain it. And then if it's useful to them, then I've helped. But
Mhm.
yeah, I like working with people and helping them to get to the best that they can possibly be. So, because like I said, I want everybody in the sandbox.
Yeah. So is it character first for you then? You find that you gravitate toward the character first more than the story
Yeah.
usually? Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I try to figure out what makes the character tick, and that drives the story for me. Because the stories are all about reactions,
Mm.
what characters do in the face of this or that event. And so for me, it is character first.
So that's probably the thing that your writing and your editing probably have most in common then is that you're very character driven with your writing as well.
I am very
Mm.
much. And in fact, my gaming has helped me in that way too, because I
Sure.
find myself being the character that I'm writing at
Right.
any given time and going, wait, that doesn't feel like something I would do. And even though, no, I am not a resurrected gunslinger from 1879 or whatever the year was.
Yeah. Yeah, with a penchant for buggery and a lot of mischief, right? I mean,
Right.
he used to get himself into a lot of trouble just by the words he would say because he was highly educated, which is
Mhm.
unusual for where he was, you know, shoving himself into places and the places he would go to and people he would meet, right? So,
Yeah. Well, and that's something that I'm enjoying too, working with this character. I'm trying to have him slowly learn exactly how wrong he was about a lot of things.
hmm,
For example, there's an anecdote that they say that the last time he and Wyatt Earp spoke, they argued, and it was because he used an anti-Semitic slur
yeah,
against Earp's lady friend, and that was the last time that the two men ever met face to face. And so I've tried to bring that into the books, his regret for having done that, and he's beginning to understand why that would have been so hurtful. Not just that Wyatt was mad that I was ugly to the woman, but but what I said
Yeah.
was inherently wrong, whether it was to Wyatt or anybody else. And so, I don't know that the real Doc would have had those epiphanies, but he's mine now, so I can.
The one thing that I always struck me about Doc Holliday was he had an emphasis for removing himself. I think he was sometimes a little too intellectual. He removed himself a lot from emotion. He thought emotion was kind of a weakness, and so he kind of plagued himself from not understanding love. And Wyatt Earp was at the point where he was fully in love at that point. So it's kind of interesting that do you find was that a hard thing for you to do, is find the empathy in him?
Maybe a little. Yeah, because I'm a very loving person. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and so yeah, that was different. But like I said, he's learning. In the first novella, one of the things he has to come to understand is the sacrifice that it took to bring him back, because it's not just that somebody did a spell and boom, there he was.
Right.
There's more to it, and there was a sacrifice that had to be made that he only fully understands about halfway through the book. And when he understands exactly how much was given in order to bring him back, it hits him like a wrecking ball. So,
cool.
So yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll look forward to that, and I'll look forward to seeing you very soon and on the con circuit for sure. And thank you for taking the time to join me and hang out with me and talk a little bit about Multiverse and yourself.
And thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
All right, everybody. Misty, tell everybody where they can find the Mad Kestrel stuff and follow you so that they can know when all the Doc Holliday stuff is going to come out.
Okay. You can find me at mistymassey.com. That's my website, obviously. I am also pretty busy on the socials, Facebook and the site formerly known as Twitter. I'm still there occasionally. Blue Sky, I'm a lot more in attendance on, and I'm also on TikTok. I like to make silly videos on TikTok, so come and follow me there. And like I said, if you want to chit chat or you want to come and learn, get some intensive writing learning, come to Saga in July. It's go to sagaconference.com for all the information. But it's in Winston-Salem in July, and we've still got spaces available. So come on over to that.
Everybody go check that out and check out what Misty's doing. And we'll be right back ourselves. We're going to take a little break here, and then we'll be back with Marc and Abbott, everybody. So thank you, Misty. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right. Bye. Are you looking for inspiration to grab a hold, to jump on an opportunity, or maybe bite down on a few thousand words and feel your way around a submission? Ink Publishing just might have what you're looking for if you're looking to be a little impulsive with your writing. Yes, their next anthology, Open Call, is Impulse, an explicit romance anthology. They're searching for spicy romance. This will be a diverse and inclusive anthology with high heat levels accepted throughout. There'll be no restrictions on gender or sexuality, and you can feel free to get warm in a snowed-in lodge in Colorado. Let your shifters and cryptics frolic. Break out that Victorian lace. Or set your story in deep space with alien first contact. The submission price is free, and you can submit up until May 31st, although the deadline might be extended. There are no AI allowed, and one per author story, with no reprints or simultaneous submissions. The word count can be between 2,000 and 8,000 words, but please go to the submission page and read the rules carefully before submitting. But wait, there's more opportunities. Yay All Queer is an LGBTQ+ anthology from Inked Publishing. that has opened its submission period right now and will be open till July 31st. They're searching for LGBTQ plus characters who have a central position within the story. It'll be a diverse and inclusive anthology. Once again, there will be no restrictions on gender or sexuality, and feel free to create an engaging story with your favorite genre or setting. It can be mystery, romance, fantasy, or sci-fi. They're all welcome if the stories and characters grab the reader's interest. Once again, there is no cost to submit, but there will be no AI and one per author allowance, with no reprints or simultaneous submissions. The word count here is 2,000 to 6,000 words. And once again, we urge you to please, once you go to the submission page, read the rules and restrictions. But those are opportunities from the Multiverse sponsor, Inked Publishing, that you can take advantage of right now if you've got a story that you need to tell. And we have a story to tell because we have Marc Abbott here with us today. Hi, Marc.
Hey.
How you doing, man?
Good. How you been?
Good. Thank you for joining me, sir. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Obviously we're going to get to the 200-pound elephant in the room that is always associated with you when it comes to Multiverse. But, the interesting thing I found fascinating attending last year and being on a panel that you moderated last year, you have, I learned, I always tell people this, I learned so much from watching you moderate a panel. I thought it was very... I stole a couple things. I'm not gonna lie. I stole a couple things from you, and so I am curious. Is that something you really love to do? Are you a big time fan of moderating?
I mean, I enjoy it. StokerCon, I think it was 2018 was the first time I ever did. I actually moderated a panel. They asked me to come and actually create one for them. I think the first one I did was like a zombie panel, and I had never done a panel before. I kind of talked to the people who were going to be on it, tried to get a feel of what they were interested in talking about, and then over time, just doing panels based on the topic, based on who I know, if there are familiar people on there. I kind of figure out exactly what everybody what they're into, figure out. I try to make sure that everybody on the panel gets an opportunity to speak. I think that's the most important thing for me. I've been on panels. Sometimes, you get on panels with people and there's always one or two people that may say three things the entire time. And then it's kind of dominated by people who have more experience being on the panel. So I try to maneuver around it and ask questions, and rather than going I'll start down at the end over there, if I notice, if you were on a panel and I notice you haven't said anything, I'll be like, Joe, let me ask you, and then get you kind of into it. And I think sometimes people are just nervous if they've never been on a lot of panels before, then they're not sure what to expect. I try to make it very user-friendly for them.
I have to imagine, though, StokerCon's a lot different than Multiverse in terms of running a panel. Because Multiverse, the one thing we talk about this a lot here, the one thing about Multiverse is that the panels are more like a room full of friends hanging out than it is, an educational panel. No, don't get me wrong, educational things get said, things, people learn, and panelists are there for a reason. But it's one of the things I was really super impressed by is when an audience member chimed in on our panel, you were very active in engaging them and bringing them into the conversation. Do you find that is the case, that Multiverse is kind of a different animal for panels in that respect?
You know what? I don't approach them as different animals. I look at any panel I'm moderating. I don't compare it to another convention that I've been at, because everybody, pretty much the panel structure is the same. You got the people up there, you're asking the particular questions, the topics may be different, but also it's about reading the room. Sometimes, you can go to a panel and the room is packed, and that, okay, we're going to have to kind of maneuver through the audience and everything and make sure people get a chance to speak. And then sometimes you'll do a panel, it's like 6 people in the room.
Yeah.
So it kind of gets a very laid back feeling, and everybody kind of feels like, well, I'm included in all of this. So I don't really, that's an interesting thing. I mean, I love the panels that I've done, either been on or moderated at Multiverse, because it's very much, everybody is there for kind of like, StokerCon is great, but we're horror. We're focused on a particular genre. At any given time at Multiverse, you know, you guys might be like, hey, Marc, you know what? So-and-so dropped out. We need you to do the sci-fi track. And it's like, okay, you know, and then, you know, just whatever little, you know, all kind of, the great thing about Multiverse is that you're pulling from all these different little caveats within speculative fiction. So at any given time, you know, we could be on a horror panel and I bring up a science fiction horror film.
Yeah.
Everybody will get engaged in that. So it's a lot of fun when you're able to just pull from all these different places.
Are you, as a frequent attender of Multiverse, are you excited for the changes that are coming?
Oh, wow. You guys, that email came and I started reading it and I was like, oh man, I got to be there for the whole weekend. I mean, I know last year was just I think the last day is always the toughest because, you know, particularly if you're coming in from out of town and, you know, flights are iffy and you don't know if you're going to grab something.
That airport's the worst.
I had to stay up at the last Multiverse. I was up till 3 because my flight was leaving at 6.
Yeah.
You know, because I couldn't get because all the later flights were booked.
Yeah.
And it also turned out to be, I went to Clark Atlanta University. So it also happened to be homecoming weekend. So even at 4:00 in the morning, I'm walking through the airport and I'm running into former classmates. Like they're all like, I hear people behind me like, is that Marc Abbott? And they're like, hey. And I was like, we didn't see you at, and I was like, no, I was in town for something else. But so it's interesting, you know, that last day. But you guys look like I love being a part of something that started from the ground.
Yeah.
Because you get to see it evolve slowly but surely. And, you know, again, cons are very tricky. You know, a con can, you know, there was a con here in New York called LunaCon. That was like one of the oldest science fiction conventions. But it was literally funded by, I think, like 2 people. And then one of them passed away and the other one kind of just gave up and the con failed. You know, just kind of fell by the wayside. So, you know, to watch Multiverse grow over this time it's a wonderful thing, and to be a part of it's a lot of fun because no 2 cons have been the same.
All right. So does this give you okay? So I've seen the room where Monster Mash is going to take place this year. It is bigger. It is away from everything. So the gloves are going to come off full force this year. I have no doubt. And I'm, you know, I'm worried about you, my friend, and hopefully we can pull you off the ground when it just becomes overwhelming. But are you looking forward to having more space to roam around in?
It's, you know what, I am. And even in the smaller spaces, it's still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting to see. I think each year it gets better. I think.
Yeah.
And I mean, last year, some things were said that were completely unexpected. You know, that you know, just completely. I mean, I enjoy being a part of it as much as being the host of it.
Right.
So it's and I think that everybody who's on the panels have figured that out. So they all kind of play to my strengths and weaknesses and I to theirs. and just having a bigger space. Hopefully we'll get. I mean, I think the word of mouth about this has gotten to the point where people are that right before we got ready to start. Yeah, it was a packed house.
Yeah.
So it's, and also the audience. I think that's the one thing. I think after the first year I did it, that was sort of an aside where I was like, you know what? The last question of the night, I'm gonna bring the audience in.
Yeah.
Because they have been so much fun, and they're getting such a great, and you hear it while we're doing it, people having their, oh, you know what? That's a great, you know who I would think it would be. You hear the audience kind of giving their opinion over who they think it's going to be. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see, to experience this in a larger space. Yeah.
Are you already thinking about it, or last year we talked about this and you said that you don't really think about it till it gets closer to it a little bit? But
yeah, because I think what I've done is I went back and I looked at the ones that I didn't do. And I'm kind of compiling all of those. Like over the years, I've looked back and I was like, oh, you know what? I never tried this. I never tried this. So it'll be interesting to see if I can mix and match some of the older stuff, or maybe just kind of bring in the ones that we didn't do the last time, and see what comes out of that. I think this year, I mean, the one that still stands out to me from last year was the Thing versus the Borg.
Yeah.
That one, like when I wrote that, I was like, oh, this is going to be nuts, because I'm just curious to see how they come up with, how this is going to work. And and I get a kick out of it. I enjoy the people who are involved, the judges and everybody. I really enjoy it.
Now, two things happened last year that I think I'm curious to get your thoughts on. Number one is when you got to the end, and there was a little bit of time, and the audience was really engaging last year. It was loud the entire time, and everybody was talking and moving around, and it was really great. But you kind of revealed a couple of the ones you didn't get to last year. If any of them are smart, they'll remember them, because I have a feeling you might bring them back around this year. Or are you shelving those just so that nobody gets a hint of what you're planning, or are you going to include those in that list that you were talking about?
I may go back and look at the ones from last year and then the ones from the previous year and mix them up. I might do it that way.
Do a different combination.
Yeah, same kind of characters, but different kind of combination with them. Because I mean, there's going to be at least one or two savvy people that were up there that are like, oh, wait a minute, this was the one he didn't use last year.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm prepared to, or it might click at the last minute and be like, wait, I remember this from last year. He didn't ask these.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what I do with those.
And the other thing that happened is you took a couple suggestions from the audience last year too. Is that something you're going to incorporate in future Monster Mashes?
Yeah, I'm going to look at it. I'm going to see how I can kind of work it in and work its magic and see if it pans out for both the audience and the people on stage, and see, because the audience is a big part of the show. Yeah. It's not just the people on stage. It's not just myself. They make that happen. I have to say it I don't know if I was overwhelmed. I think it was when we came back from the pandemic, and that room, and I walked in there, and Elwood was like, it is packed in there. And I looked and I said, what? And she goes, it is packed. Like they're like, people were basically like, you have to come, grab your drink. Come on. We have to go to this. You have to see this. And I know this year we had to shoo out a couple of parents who showed up with their kids.
Yeah.
You know, because it was like, oh, it's not really a kid-friendly show. It's you know, you think Monster Mash, and it, you know, of course the little ones are going to think, you know, they're kind of monsters. But then, you know, you get some people say some things and you're just like, oh no. Don't, please.
I should have prefaced this and started this by having you explain it, just in case there's new people in the audience or new people to Multiverse. So tell everybody about Monster Mash, what it is.
So Monster Mash it's a game where we have two sets of teams. The teams name themselves. It's made up of different writers. Some of them are filmmakers, artists. And what we do is I put them in a situation where they have to pick a monster, or actually they don't pick the monster. I give them the monster that they're going to use. And they have to convince the audience that their monster can defeat the other one. And trust me, it is not some of the monsters, like, you know, you have Godzilla versus Frankenstein. And you're like, what? You know, and then, but the teams have to convince the audience that that monster, through whatever mechanics, can actually defeat the other one. And then the audience basically chooses through applause. Yeah. And, you know, you never know which monster is going to show up. I've tried to mix it up. I try to do horror. I'm not a big fantasy person. But, you know, I can put my ear to the ground and go, okay, you know what? I'll pull a fantasy character out of a hat and put them in there, or an anime character.
Yeah.
I remember a couple of years ago, I brought Death Note in, and Tanya Ransom got super excited. She was like, oh, oh no. And, you know, and it's, you know, and that's the fun part, is when you touch on something, everybody knows the classic. But when you hit that one character that everybody's like, whoa, I was not thinking that character, or it's one that maybe the rest of the team doesn't know, but one person on that team is like, I got this.
Yeah.
Exactly who this is. And that's when it becomes alive. So that's the gist of it. And what do we do? How many? I think
it's like 3 or 4, right? It's like 3.
Yeah, we do a good number of pairings.
Yeah,
and just comedy and mayhem ensues between the judges, and you know,
the host, and
yes, and myself. You know, people have said some things, made me walk out of a room. I think that's the new thing now. Everybody's timing to see how long I last before I pack up and try and walk out.
Well, last year you fell down and just stayed down for a little bit.
I mean, I was not expecting the Freddy Krueger response. That's what caught me, because it was sort of like the what? And I'm like, okay, that's it. You know, I you know, and but they had so much fun doing it.
Yeah, it's a great time. It's an amazing time. And yes, I as one of those people who the first year I went to Multiverse, I had heard about it. And then I didn't go because I went to other things. Then I made a point the next year to go. And then, of course, last year I brought a bunch of people to come and see it last year. But yeah, it's very cool. Let's talk about you a little bit, because you have some exciting news as far as the Horror Writers Association goes. You want to share that with the audience and tell everybody what that exciting news is?
So a lot of things are going on. First, I am now the treasurer for the HWA for the organization, which came as a complete surprise.
Is that an election thing?
It basically, someone stepped down, and the opportunity opened up for me, and I got an opportunity to really, you know, kind of step into those shoes. So it's going to be it's going to be interesting. This is going to be my first time. Okay. This will be my first time being in a role like that on such a larger scale. I've been part of the organization for several years, and I've always wanted to serve in some capacity. And I've done their mentorship. I was a mentor for a minute, and I've done panels and things. So this is going to be a very interesting step forward for me. And I'm looking forward to working with everybody and just kind of getting on board with the organization in that capacity.
One of the things that I think that the Horror Writers Association and a lot of organizations can take from, and I think that's something that's very interesting about it, is that it is a very diverse organization, and they welcome, and I mean, they haven't always, but they're starting to come around a lot more with welcoming diversity. I mean, they had Puerto Rican authors winning for the first time last year, and then it's always brought about the opportunities for POC authors and LGBTQ authors to kind of be mentored and brought into the organization. They've done a real good job of that. Do you find that to be the case? Are you happy with the way it's going, or do you feel like part of the reason why you wanted to take this on is to kind of further that cause?
I mean, I'm very proud that the organization is going in that direction. It's always great to see those acknowledgments happen. I mean, it takes a long time sometimes, and things have to change. Guards have to change sometime, but I'm very happy with the direction that they're going in. I'm happy to see more representation out there, because it's with anything that within speculative fiction, within writing, there's always been kind of this caveat of only a certain group of people have been writing this art form in these art forms, and that people are always surprised when they see, oh wait, you write. I mean, even now people go, well, what do you write? And I'm like, I write horror. You write horror? Is that, and I don't take offense to it. It's sort of like it is a shocking thing when particularly I tell people horror writers are some of the nicest people in the world. You'd be in a room full of them, wouldn't know they were horror writers.
Yeah.
And you're like, you came up with this, and it's yeah, I was having a Monday. So so it's great to be a part of that. It's great to be as things evolve, as things change, to be right there watching it all happening, and to be a part of it is exceptionally important. So I'm very proud to be a part of all of this.
So what's new on your agenda? What are you working on right now that you can tell us about?
So Mocha Memoirs Press has acquired my manuscript Sinister Ascension, which is coming out in October, actually. So I am super excited about this. This is a book that has been with me since 2012. And it's gone through so many evolutions, so many different changes. And I believe it's one of those stories that it never caught on. It never found its home. And I've always believed that the problem was that it just wasn't its time yet. And the book I went through the book and I did a huge change. I took a huge chunk of things out of it and reworked it. And I think it came out to become something that I'm hoping people would truly enjoy. Nice. And kudos to Mocha Memoirs for picking it up. I took it, it's hard to get somebody to publish your work.
Yeah.
And I've been truly blessed to have my work in anthologies and won some awards for my work. So this is something really exciting for me, and I'm looking forward to releasing it. I'm hoping, keeping my fingers crossed, that it will be out in time for Multiverse.
Nice. Because
it'll be absolutely fantastic to launch the book there, to have it there and have it. And if not, it's still October. It's Halloween month. it's hard. It's my month. You know, it's spooky stuff. So it'll still be great to be able to have that book out, and that's the big thing on the front right now.
Nice.
I just recently coming out is the Chaos Clock, which is an anthology of cosmic horror / steampunk mashup, which I did a story for, which I'm incredibly proud of. Partly because I don't write steampunk, so it was a great challenge to do something that was get outside of my comfort zone and try something new. So those are the two big things coming up right now.
Nice. Well, tell everybody where they can find you and keep track of all that for those who won't be at Multiverse that can grab this book from you.
Okay, so you can find me at whoismarcabbott.com. That's my website. You can read about all the upcoming things that are coming out. You can find me on Facebook at Who is Marc L. Abbott, as well as the site formerly known as Twitter. I'm still there, you know, not as active, but when major things come up, you'll find me there under the same name. And yeah, that is what's going on at this moment.
Well, I'll look forward to seeing you again soon, my friend. And thank you so much for joining me and being a part of this. And I'm already excited for Monster Mash. So I can't wait. Have a good rest of your evening, sir.
You do the same, man.
All right, everybody. That was Marc Abbott. We just had Marc Abbott and Misty Massey on, and we're running against it because I don't want you all to miss the shows coming up, which is the first time for everything. So everybody go check that out. You can head on over there, and I'll be back on Friday with another spotlight on the multiverse. We've got a great show for you then. And as always, it's always time to go indie now. We'll see you guys soon. Bye, everybody.